I am Dr. R. Sanap, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Botany, Rao Bahadur Narayan Rao Boravke College, Srampur. Today I am going to deliver the lecture on the classification of plants. So in that, the review of artificial, natural and phylogenetic systems of classification. So the plants have a great influence on the human life. The primitive man depended on the plants for its food material. All the three basic needs, that is food, shelter and clothing. So all these three basic needs are fulfilled by the plants and plant products. So the primitive man has tried the grouping of the plants, but nothing was recorded in the taxonomical account. So in 300 BC onward, nothing was recorded in the taxonomy of the plants or arranging of the plants. But the Charles Darwin, so this Charles Darwin, he has put forth the theory of evolution. In 1959. So in 1959, Charles Darwin, when he has put forth the theory of evolution, then the developmental period, it was divided into two groups. First is the pre-Darwinian period, or may be called as the pre-Darwinian era, and second is the post-Darwinian era. Pre-Darwinian and post-Darwinian era means period. So in this pre-Darwinian era or pre-Darwinian period means the period before the Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, that is before the 1859. So it is known as the pre-Darwinian era, and the period or era after the Charles Darwin theory of evolution, that is after 1859, that era, it is supposed to be the post-Darwinian era or post-Darwinian period. And thus here, all the systems of classification which were put forth in the pre-Darwinian era or pre-Darwinian period, these are called as the pre-Darwinian systems of classification. And these are, first one is the artificial systems of classification. Artificial systems of classification, and second is the natural systems of classification. Natural systems of classification. So thus here in the pre-Darwinian period, the artificial and natural systems were dominant. And in the post-Darwinian period, that is after the Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, so in the Charles Darwin, he has put forth the theory of evolution, and he suggested that every organism has been evolved or developed from one specific organism. And thus here, later on, that systems were proposed. These are known as the phylogenetic systems. Phylogenetic systems of classification. So thus here, these are the three systems which are grouped or divided into two periods or the eras. that is the pre-Darwinian systems, that is the artificial and natural one, and the post-Darwinian systems, that is the phylogenetic systems of classification. Now let us see one by one. First, let us see what is meant by the artificial systems of classification. Now here, as the name indicates, the artificial systems, so these systems, these are based upon the external morphological characters of the plants. Morphological characters of plants. Now here, so in that, the external sexual characters of the plants, they are considered, and on that basis these systems were proposed, and that's why these systems, they are also known as the sexual systems of classification. Sexual systems, it means the sex organs of the plants, that is the androecium, gynoecium, they are considered, and on that basis the plants are classified. So this is the basic principle, and many taxonomies, they have tried to give this artificial systems of classification, like the Theophrastus. So this Theophrastus is known as the father of botany. Then the Aristotle, then the Dioscorides, Carl Linnaeus. So these are some workers, some taxonomists who has suggested the artificial systems of classification. So here, this Theophrastus, he has classified about 500 plants species into the herbs, shrubs, trees, and undershrubs. So thus here, at the beginning, this Theophrastus, who has been suggested as the father of botany, he has first time tried to develop the artificial system of classification, in which, so this system, in this system, he has classified near about 500 plants into the herbs, shrubs, trees, and undershrubs. Now here, Theophrastus, he has considered the external character, that is the habit of the plant, and on that basis the plants are classified. So later on, the Carl Linnaeus, so he has published the book, that is the Species Plantarum. So he has published the book, that is the Species Plantarum, and in this book he has classified the entire plant kingdom into the 24 classes, and while classifying these plants, he has considered the main principle, that is the main stress it was given on the sex organs, and thus here, on that basis, he has classified the plants into the 24 orders, like the Monandria, then Diandria, Triandria, Tetrandria, Pentandria, Hexandria, and so on. So like that, he has classified the entire plants into the 24 classes. So thus here, in this artificial system of classification, the main stress or main principle of the system is that the external morphological characters, particularly the sexual characters of the plants, they are considered, and on that basis the plants are classified. So thus these workers, Theophrastus, Dioscorides, Aristotle, Carl Linnaeus, these are some taxonomists who have suggested these artificial systems of the classification. So this is about the artificial systems of classification. Now let us see about the second one, that is the natural systems of classification. Natural systems of classification. So in these systems of classification, that is the natural systems, as the name indicates, the natural affinities among the plants is the basic principle. Natural affinities, that is the natural similarities among the plants, these characters, they are considered, and on that basis the plants are classified. So these systems, they were suggested by many taxonomists like T.Y.B.Sc. So this T.Y.B.Sc, he has classified the plants on the basis of cotyledons. So here he considered the cotyledons of the plants, like all the plants which are showing the only one cotyledon, these plants, they are included under the monocots or monocotyledons. All the plants which show the presence of the two cotyledons, they are included under the dicots, that is the dicotyledons. So here in this system of classification, this T.Y.B.Sc, he considered the natural affinity, that is the natural similarities. Here that similarity is the cotyledon, that character it is considered, and on that basis this T.Y.B.Sc, he has classified the plants, and thus he has made this natural system of classification. The another taxonomist, that is D. Candolle. So this D. Candolle, he has classified the plants on the basis of organ analysis. So here he considered the different organs of the plant, maybe for example the inflorescence, leaf, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium. So these characters, they are considered, and on the basis of its analysis this system was made, and that system which was made, it is the natural system of classification. But here the remarkable event in the natural system of classification is that the publication of the book, that is the Genera Plantarum. So this book, it was published by the Bentham and Hooker. So this Bentham and Hooker, they have published this book known as the Genera Plantarum, and in this book they have published near about 97,205 seed plants, and these seed plants, they were grouped into 202 families. These families, near about 202 families were made by the Bentham and Hooker. And thus here, this Bentham and Hooker system later on, it was widely accepted. Because the system, it was very easy to understand. And the plants which are classified, they are classified on the basis of the actual observation of the plants. And thus the system, it was easy to understand, widely accepted, and it is completely based upon the actual observation of the plants, and that's why this system, it was widely accepted. So in India, particularly in those countries which were ruled by the British people, in that countries the Bentham and Hooker system is followed. In India also, the Bentham and Hooker system, it is followed for the classification of the plants. So there are different types of taxonomists who has suggested these natural systems, like the D. Candle, then D. Jesu, Robert Brown, Bentham and Hooker, and so on. So thus here, these taxonomists, they have suggested the natural systems of classification. So thus here, this is about the next system, that is natural system of classifications, which are based upon the natural affinities of the plants. So on that basis, the plants are classified. And third one is the phylogenetic systems. Phylogenetic systems of classification. Now here, these systems, these are the post-Darwinian systems. Post-Darwinian. It means these systems, they are suggested after the Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. When the entire world has accepted the theory of evolution, which was put forth by Charles Darwin, then many taxonomies, they have considered the evolutionary sequence of the plants, evolutionary principles of the plants, and on that basis, the systems of classification which comes, these are the phylogenetic, or they are also called as the evolutionary systems. These are called as the evolutionary systems of classification. Now here, in these systems of classification, so main principle is that the systems, they are based upon well-defined the determination, or the main principle, that is determination of the evolutionary primitiveness or the advancedness. So here, for that purpose, the genetical advancedness in the evolutionary sequence of the plants, they are considered, and on that basis the systems were proposed. So here, as the name indicates, the primitiveness, evolutionary primitiveness and evolutionary advancedness, those plants which are ancient, they are the primitive one, and from that ancient plants, how the plants, they are generated or they have been evolved, how the genetic evolution was carried out in that plant, and then how they are developed and how the advanced plants are developed on the earth's surface. So these characters they are considered, and on that basis the plants they are classified, and thus they gave the systems of classification which were the evolutionary systems of classification, or called as the phylogenetic systems of classification. So many taxonomies they have given the phylogenetic systems of classifications, and these taxonomies where they were very well known, like the T.Y.B.Sc, then the Eichler, then Engler and Prantl, then Rendell, Tippo, then Takhtajan, Cronquist. So thus here these are the various taxonomists who has tried to give the phylogenetic system of classification. So that is the T.Y.B.Sc. So on that basis, by considering their names, there are different systems of classification of the angiosperm. Like this T.Y.B.Sc, he has suggested a phylogenetic system of classification, and that system it is known as the T.Y.B.Sc system of classification. Then Eichler has also suggested this phylogenetic system known as the Eichler system of classification. Engler and Prantl system of classification, Rendell's system of classification, Tippo's system of classification, like that Takhtajan system of classification, Cronquist system of classification, and so on. So thus here, after the Charles Darwin theory of evolution, here all the systems which were proposed were the phylogenetic systems, or the systems they are also known as the evolutionary systems of classification, as this system they are based upon the ancestral relations of the plants, and thus for that purpose the primitiveness, evolutionary primitiveness or advancedness, these characters they are considered, and on that basis the systems were formed known as the phylogenetic systems of classification. So thus here in this review of artificial, natural and phylogenetic systems, different principles are considered, and by considering this specific principle, that systems were based on, and thus on that basis they are known as the artificial, natural and the phylogenetic systems of classification. So this is about the review of artificial, natural and phylogenetic systems of classification of the plants. So I am going to conclude here. Thank you very much.